continually demonstrated through the natural laws of first creation physics, which continually govern the relationship between manifest energy and consciousness through cause and effect, action, reaction, and corresponding tangible consequence. So essentially, it boils down to every action has a reaction, every action has a consequence. Cause and effect. And that teaches us, supposedly, to be better creators. And it can teach us to be better creators in a conscious way if we do become more self-aware, mindful, and conscious. Because we're creating all the time. It's just that when we do it unconsciously and in a chaotic manner, then look at what's in our hologram. Accountability for one's choices is a lesson no manifest being can escape. The natural laws of first creation physics will faithfully reflect and objectify the responsible or irresponsible use of personal creative power. Presently, Earth, its life field, and your universal Becca system are passing through a long-awaited portal of accountability, a series of events in energy, consciousness, and inevitably experience, which represents a culmination point of consequence in the collective and individual use and misuse of love, creative power, and free will choice. Remember, the human mind is an energy force. It continually generates patterns of scalar waves. And it does this through the process of thought. Undirected thought gives chaotic patterns. Clear thought with clear intention gives well-ordered patterns, because a clear intention thought acts as operational instructions within your morphogenetic manifestation template. But you know, no matter what we do, God's source does not judge, but only loves unconditionally and allows for the framework within which accountability becomes the self-regulating source. You're the creator here. You make a choice. You made a choice, and you have a consequence. If you don't like the consequence, well, maybe you won't make the same choice again. It's like kids that reach up to the stove, and it's like they have to burn themselves before they understand that they shouldn't touch that stove, that there is an action and a reaction, a consequence of their actions. And that's a natural way of growing. When we begin to take on the knowledge consciously of the crystal body, there's a responsibility that goes with it. And this is pure power. This is power that was given you originally by God's source. You have a right to use this power, and Source is such a loving being that it gave us the ability to use it in whatever way we want to use it, however, to explore the powers of creativity and creation. And that's awesome. It's like those are the keys to the kingdom right there. Even to the degree where it allowed it to create the opposite expression. If that's what its creation, as us, if that's what we wanted. It wasn't a preference. God's source doesn't have a preference for anti-Christiac thoughts and behaviors, but it allowed free will, and that's a huge gift. And when you start to turn these powers back on, when we start to use the creative powers we've been given by Source, it's going to be important to pay attention to your mind. Because what are you going to create as you amplify your powers? You know, do you want to continue to be a virus on the cosmic internet? And it can work for you, and it can work against you. If you sit around, I like this word. This is what I asked from the England Rolling Workshop. She says, if you sit around thinking, my life is really a bummer, I'm really sick of this, watch the word sick. I have to stop myself all the time. I'm sick of this. No, I'm not sick. I'm not sick of this. I would prefer to be doing something else. How's that? I have to watch these words because my body responds to words in a certain way that I might not think it's going to do. Remember, your body is consciousness. So if you tell yourself that you're sick, if you tell yourself that someone's a pain in the neck, someone, if you, or any other part of your anatomy, guess what's going to happen? And a long time ago, I read something about how your words affect your body. And I was talking to this lady on the plane about how your body believes what you say. And I hadn't really thought of it in terms of consciousness, though I think on some level we know it. It's just sometimes it's not really conscious that it's consciousness. But I was telling her about sometimes you have leg problems and you say, I don't have a leg to stand on. And sometimes you have knee problems when you say, I need something. I had my neck go out when I said someone was a pain in the neck. I'm glad I didn't say it was in the other part of my anatomy. but what she said was that her mother's favorite expression was that I just don't have a leg to stand on. And eventually she had her legs amputated, and she didn't have a leg to stand on. Our words are very powerful. Our thoughts are powerful. What are you putting into your manifestation template to outpicture in your field, to outpicture not only in your hologram out here, but in your body hologram? I mean, and it's something that it's a constant awareness. I was told a long time ago by a teacher of mine that if I wanted to be a minister, I had to consciously watch my thoughts all the time. It's essentially, that's how you kind of learn to walk your talk. Am I doing what I'm telling other people they shouldn't do? You know, it's like having, when I grew up, having my mother tell us we needed to clean our rooms, but I never saw her cleaning her room. You see, it becomes a double standard. Are we walking our talk? What are we putting out there to come back at us? And you can see what's in what you're putting out by seeing what's being reflected to you, by people that are right in your face. They're willing to, hey, guess what? You created me. Aren't you lucky? Yes. You know, what are you putting out there? So watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts, and what's running through your mind when you're in those states of being kind of halfway zoned out, and there's just kind of something's going through it in the road, because that is also setting a pattern. It says it's not that these terrible things are happening now. They've been happening all along. You just didn't know it. Now you're becoming aware of things that need to be cleaned up, and the best place to start is what you're going to let yourself think about. If you get this power back and you're having a bad day, you can really manifest yourself a storm. Just by putting energy with the pillar, with your breathing, and once you open your pillar and you breathe, your pillar has its power, and you are giving your body and your mind and your emotional body back this power. Don't be afraid to do that. If you were thinking, what would I do if I got my instant manifestation powers back? I mean, when I was younger, I used to think, there was part of me that said, I should be able to just snap my fingers and something would happen. You know, but what if we got that power back? In the moment of thought, can you imagine something that would, you know, what could it be that would all of a sudden appear in front of your face? So she says, go hide somewhere and really be careful about what you think about, to see if I would really be sure that I'm ready to do this. What if I had a random thought, which is like an overreaction to something, and bang, you manifest it. I'm so angry I could kill that person. And all of a sudden they just keeled over and died. What would you do? Oops. Well, I better go back. Didn't do that one too well. You know, it's like serious fun. You know, we're used to not thinking that our thoughts mean anything or can do anything, and it can get that serious. What type of training do you think we'd have to go through if we walked through portals tomorrow? And all of a sudden the power was all ours again. There would be training about how to let this take over and go on tangents. So essentially we'd get some real heavy intensive training, wouldn't we? It's that quarantine again. They said that if we went through the portals right now, the Yanni would have to quarantine us, and our training, we'd get some real intensive training. But, you know, our training should be starting right here, right now. Part of learning anatomy, when we learned our 15-dimensional anatomy, are all parts of ourselves, because if you don't bother to learn the anatomy, you shouldn't bother with the techniques either. is what it comes down to. Because if you don't want to learn at all and see how everything affects you, essentially it's learning to know who you really are. Do you want to know yourself? You know yourself? What's the thing? By knowing the truth of yourself, you set yourself free. Because if you don't want to know who you really are, you're just wanting something to play with. And that means that there's a responsibility level that's not being worked with. And all through consciousness, there's always comes back to accountability, responsibility, love, reverent respect. Not having to do with setting boundaries, that reverent respect. But my favorite is grace. Grace is, we talk about sound tones, and to me, grace has always had that feeling and that sound of what it really means. And in Andorra, the speaker said we can teach ourselves to face any experience in a state of grace. Grace means you cannot like something and have a preference for it to be different, but hate is unknown to you. You can use the hate and know you don't mean it. It's a non-word to you. Because the emotion of hate doesn't live in you. That's where you start becoming engaged detachment. You become like the silent witness, where you can use the word, but there's no emotion attached. It's just a word. It's just a thing. That's a part of the state of grace, being able to love those who are causing you harm, are causing the planet harm, and that's part of the state of grace. And that doesn't mean lying down as a doormat so they can trample all over you. Part of the state of grace means being quietly assertive, where you honor yourself because you are a face of God. Again, that also has to do with boundaries, remember, is to honor yourself. And don't let anybody tell you you are any less than what you are really, which is a face of God. You honor everybody else too, even if they forget that, or if they forgot that and they're acting like they're not God. But you can't forget to honor you. And this is what the other schools of thought that teach you to be a martyr. Because being a martyr, when they teach you that, they're slapping the God in you right in the face. And when you honor those belief systems more than you honor the God that lives and breathes through you, you're slapping God in the face. But most of all, you're slapping yourself in the face. So this is the time to really get into the idea of grace. Part of the grace, state of grace, means being quietly assertive, where you don't have to agree with anybody, but you honor yourself because you are a face of God. And we use the attitudes because we're trying to teach ourselves to be it, to be God, to be the teachings every day in every way. We have to walk our talk. And it's walking our talk. It's doing that 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But each time we get a little bit better, and then we're able to hold more of that frequency as it comes in to be a greater container, a greater holder of frequency. Ashen has talked about how big we really are. And what that means is that we are this huge conduit of frequency. And what we want to do is expand back into that bigness and remember who we really are as that holder of frequency. And one of the ways that helps us do that is to start acting like a spiritualized being now, to be the master now and own it. We need to be able to say, I am this. It's like if we want love, we need to be love. If we're chasing after mastery, it means we don't have it. It means we don't believe we are. But the more that we command it to come through, the more that we say that I am the master now and do all that self-talk, because in the self-talk, we're setting patterns in our morphogenetic field to manifest that out. And the more we set it, then that, when the primal currents come in, guess what receptors that energy is going through? It's going into the ones that say, I am the master. I am God now. I am love now. Because you're getting rid of all the others. And you're allowing that to be the only reality for you now. So you acknowledge it, that I am the master now. And if you want to be a master, you tell yourself you are. You give yourself credit for what you can have, and then you just open the channels to allow more of it to come through. A lot of the channels have to do with, the blocks your channels have to do with what you're thinking, right? So relax the brain. Relax your brain and allow the frequency to come in. Allow to the thought and then the reality that you are the master, you are God right now. When you use those LTR grids, those I am statements, the I am programs open cognition. I am a walking face of God. Say it. I am a walking face of God. Now say, I am God.
I am God.
Okay. And when you say it, think or feel what programming does come up for you. And when something comes up that doesn't, that you kind of feel like, well, I can say it now, but you know, you might change it around. I mean, I did that. I didn't quite feel comfortable at first with saying I am God, so I would say I am this I am because it felt better. And until I could bring the two together and know that it's one and the same, and now I can say I am God. It doesn't have that same like ooh feeling, you know. But that ooh feeling I got was a clue that something was distorted in my fields, and that was something needed to be healed. And so knowing that, then I said it more. It's sort of like you get bucked off a horse, you get back on it so that you don't get scared about horses. The same with the something feel. If you say I am God and it feels strange, then that must mean you need to say it, because there's something that is a program in you that someone has programmed you to think that you are less than. Sometimes it's easier to see the God in everybody else than it is to see the God in ourselves. But do you understand that you can't see the God in anybody else unless it's in you first? Whatever you think about someone, if you say, oh, that person's beautiful, do you know you can't see that in them unless it's in you first? Okay? But also if you say, boy, that person's so rough, you know? Oh, darn, okay, where is that in me, you know? And I used to look at that with, if I thought someone was arrogant, I would look at myself to see where is the arrogance in me? Where am I acting like that? Why are they reflecting that back? If you look at that, everybody has a message for you about you at that moment of time, then you can start seeing where the parts in you that need to be healed. And then you can, and that's a real gift. Sometimes it's hard to see that as a gift sometimes, and they're right in your face, you know, and something's coming at you that you didn't expect. But then, you know, I go off to a room and just talk to myself, and then, you know, I get over myself. I'll tell my husband, I say, just leave me alone until I get over myself. I'll do this, you know. And because I know it's a distorted pattern. And it's in the moment you catch yourself running that distorted pattern that you can change it. And the more you change it, the more you become aware, the more you are aware. It's awareness itself. We hold the biological potential to take our bodies and our consciousness through stargates. As we become more healed, we bring in more higher consciousness, which begins to activate our flame bodies and affect the tribal shield. Because our personal shields are literally within the larger tribal shield, which is ensconced within the larger planetary shield, which is part of the solar shield that all the planets in our solar system are part of, which are part of the galactic shield, and up and up and up all the way. So it counts what we do with ourselves and our frequency. As we heal ourselves, we help to heal each other. We help to heal the planet and all other life forms on the planet. To reclaim the potential of ascension, we need to heal our biofields and build our body's capacity to hold frequency. In doing so, we also integrate the expanded levels of consciousness of our multidimensional selves. As we heal ourselves and we begin to expand, we start becoming who we really are. The DNA goes through a process of initiation, consummation, and activation. When you have pulled all 12 sub-frequency bands of one dimension into your personal morphogenetic field, one's consciousness transfers up to the first sub-frequency band of the next dimension up. The whole purpose of this is that frequency is pulled from the unified field, one-dimensional sub-frequency band at a time. And when you have pulled all 12 sub-frequency bands, your consciousness transfers up. It's like when I was saying earlier, we start merging, we start expanding, and then it's our consciousness that moves. Okay, and that's why you can have different things in different dimensions all in the same space. But you might not see it, and they might not see you, because your consciousness and frequency changes. I reserve the right to express as the sovereign being that I am. Free will. Now, free will doesn't mean that you have the right to totally trash the whole universe. Some beings think that's what it means. But they find out that eventually, through their choices, if they act in ways that continually violate the right to be of other life forms, that they will essentially bring into their life exactly what they have given, and most often at more than of what they've given. Now, we have free will in this time matrix within a preset series of natural laws and mechanics. Anything that gets to the point with its free will that starts to jeopardize the structural integrity of the hologram, where it starts to take it out of Source's original intention, they will end up destroying themselves ultimately, because there is a rebalancing factor. Source doesn't have to do anything different. It is simply structured in a way that it will begin to rebalance itself. We do have free will, but it is free will within a co-creative framework. So that means at a certain point, if your free will gets totally out of control, and we get totally nuts and psychotic with it, we will end up just having to come back on ourselves to the point where we reduce ourselves back to space dust. We are still with God, we just don't remember much. So we need to tend to our own gardens. And a lot of times people like to tend to other people's gardens. But we need to tend to our own gardens, do our own work first. And then we draw to ourselves the seeds upon the wind that will most flourish here. Essentially, everything is created, remember, not by somebody over there that's conscious, making energy out of something else and creating structure. It's the consciousness itself. So it's consciousness itself that's the energy that creates the structure. That means all the structures we are working with and all the energies we are working with, remember, are fully conscious and alive and represents a part of the consciousness of God. That means it has its own ability to interact with other energy. It has its own ability in its own way. When we are running a frequency in our bodies, what we forget is that we are running an identity in our bodies. And it's a part of our own identity because we have parts of our own identity all the way up to the stairway that we have left behind. And so we have the witness test on the AsRightPress.com website. And it's used to indicate to which extent we are consciously striving to maintain an association with a state of angelic mind. That's what witness is. Essentially, it shows us where we are out of balance and perhaps need to bring in more of the conscious currents of the Ire, the Manu, or the Mane in order to become more balanced into the Manu and become consciousness itself. To strive for it provides the conscious attitudinal embodiment, and it helps provide a platform to maximize the techniques we do. To do this will embed sensory, perceptual, and behavioral aspects of connection with the realities of collective consciousness. And you'll find that you're working with perhaps what they call a familial or a family of consciousness, which would be your ecodic level, your polaric level, or your triadic level of the consciousness collectives. And that's a part of you that resides at that level. So what you are doing is working with that consciousness and then bringing it all the way down to this level. As we get up into these spaces of higher frequency, we learn more and more about how to direct our thoughts. And here, this is Earth School, here's where we need to learn how to hone our mind and our mental focus. You are not going to get any of the spiritual stuff into your body down here unless you have your mind open and understanding to process these frequencies. So the mind and mental training is just as important as anything else in getting your spirit into your body and your consciousness into your body. This is from Allentown, 2002. The earth is experiencing every thought form that we have. Without realizing it, we actually create little thought forms, weird shapes, things that look like shadow forms, things that look like light forms that go running around in the woods, all sorts of things. A lot of those things that people are starting to be able to take pictures of, like little fairy folk and things like that, popping up on films here and there, some of these are actually thought forms from races that were created by either us consciously, once upon a time, are being thrown off from us now through our shadow bodies and through our conscious thought forms. So we are living creators, you see. We just forgot. And that's scary, because if you take the power of God and you take a small part of that and put it in a little package, and then the package forgets that it has that power, but the power still runs, it can be a very dangerous thing. And that's what we are doing now. We are manifesting without realizing we are manifesting. So we seem to have no control over what's being manifested around us. If we want to heal our world, we need to learn to use our mind differently. And it's all in the process. It's not, when you do this, you do it without having expectations as to the outcome. But your goal is on just to align the source, to align and to remember who you are at that highest level. And we have a lot of our own lineage, our own lines of consciousness that can help us, because we have us at all those different levels. And even if we're not feeling we are receiving communication, we definitely all are. There is a need for us as awakened Indigo team members to become more clear about the communication between ourselves and our avatar Rishi and the other Christos collectives. We need to get used to receiving these communications. It is important to start using and trusting these communications. And when we do, we'll get information that starts coming to us as packages of understanding. And we do have different ways. We have the contact platform in the Dance for Life series, and there's another one I forget, but we have two I think at least contact ways of actually consciously trying to contact our own collectives. And but the main one I can think of right now is Technique 15 from the Dance for Life series. Planetary healing begins with personal healing. Know thyself and thy parts, and the truth shall set us free. The fallen angelic matrices plug into our bodies through the atomic structure. Those problems in the atomic structure are what are manifesting because of the reversals and the implants in our shields. So the shield distortions and the cathara grid distortions that are manifesting their way up through the system, up through the chakras, through the axiotonals, literally right into the atoms that matter is composed of here. And when we begin to heal, we begin to reverse that process. So there's going to be some interesting things happening, as we get healed, as we start clearing the distortions. Atoms are going to start doing things that science didn't know they could. The DNA is going to do things that science didn't know it could do. There are changes that are coming, and they're going to affect masses of people. Each person that chooses conscious evolution as a path right now, and chooses a program that tells you really what it's about, how to clear your DNA, how to get it activated to its highest level, how to get your integrity, biofield integrity, all of that will help the collective. If enough people do that, you'll be able to affect the race scalar template or the race morphogenetic field, and they will progressively be able, everyone will progressively be able to help more and more people. Each one of us that works with this, we're doing ourselves a favor, and we're giving a gift to the rest of the people at the same time. And what did Az say? It says no matter what's in your shields, what's in your biofields, just get on with whatever that particular package contains and just be happy with that. If you are looking for a secret key, then that's the one. It's okay. Just keep your boat pointed in the right direction. It doesn't matter if your sails on your dinghy are flapping. As long as you catch a bit of wind on the day you intend to, you move along. So essentially, you just keep on keeping on. And it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Don't compare yourself with others. Just put one step in front of the other. Keep on keeping on. Because our first responsibility is to our own spiritual development and opening. When there are mutations in the template, it means there are mutations in the consciousness. And that means, remember, we're ray consciousness. It means there are ray forms in our template that don't belong there. People have curious ideas what a service contract is. Asa says that developing your fields in order that you can be a walking portal for other dependent life forms, hosting other life forms out when the time comes, is the most gracious, the most reverent, and inspired service contract anybody can choose to carry. It is really the most important one that concerns us in a more direct and personal way. And the ambition that Asa would love all of you to feel is a real burning desire to build your fields so you become the most magnificent healers this planet has ever seen, because that's why most of you are here. So ride with the Christ your sails and your ship will never sink. Dimensional ascension is a process in which we are all involved unconsciously or subconsciously, I should say. It's now time for it to become conscious. We have within our consciousness everything we need to begin the process of preparing our bodies for DNA activation. We have a choice to define ourselves by limitation, or to know ourselves through embracing our intrinsic eternal nature. And our choice will determine the experience we meet here and beyond the veils. A first step is to choose to believe that we do indeed have portions of ourselves that are valid in terms of the eternal, and to realize that our eternal selves represent the only authority. Remember, we always give you back your power. You go back to your inner avatar self, to your eternal self, the only authority to which we should turn for interpretation of the nature of reality. This is a time for Christiac healing for those who care to partake of this endeavor. We must have faith at every step in our eternal God source within. So, beloved ones, choose well, choose love, and then choose freedom. From Maha, again, and the Shara of the Eka Council, they talk about many of you upon encountering the teaching of the inner Christ immediately recognized and embraced the magnitude of absolute unconditional love embodied within these teachings. Others have cried, where is the love? And that projection is an inability to identify, perceive, or feel genuine absolute love. And they project this onto the Guardian Alliance, accusing them of being unloving because they really can't feel the love, because there are so many distortions. And that's what we're trying to do, is heal those distortions, so that, because all that energy is love, that is pure love, back from the original energy of Source. The effective question, dear ones, is not where is the love? It is why can you not feel its presence? You will see, know, and touch the absolute love within others. Us, our works, are representatives within the eternal hologram and within the very fiber of creation when you apply free will choice to discovering, allowing, embodying, becoming, being, and freely giving the divine, unconditional God source love within you, which you can only accomplish through recognition, respect, and reverence for the living God source within. Remember, you don't chase after love. You are love, and you own that. I am the love. The answer to the question of where is the love is the sincere affirmation that I am the love, and a firm commitment to embodying through action, thought, and creed this eternal Christiac ideal. When you choose at one-ment with the living God source within you, you will know the love. You will be the love, you will embody the love, and thus you will see reflected everywhere around you the reality of love that is the foundation of all creation. So the degree to which you recognize and embrace the eternal love of the God source within you will be the degree to which you are able to identify, experience, recognize, and embrace the eternal love that is always present within your eternal and external hologram. So we choose freedom. And what is freedom? Free is being able to fully embody that presence as you, the part of you that never left that space, the part of you that never left God, that is the Master. All you have to do is command it here, and you'll progressively help the body to open the DNA template to allow it to come through. You owe yourselves a more joyous, empowered experience. But no one can give this gift to you. You can only choose to give it to yourself. The conscious mind has the free will to actively choose ideas, beliefs, assessments, and labels that honor and recognize rather than deny the power of the God source within. When free will is used to direct the conscious mind towards honoring the God source within, then ideas and beliefs and assessments corresponding God source honoring energy patterns are generated within your subconscious mind. And then this translates into a biochemical emotional translation that generates the experience of fearlessness. So have the courage, have the commitment to be the best you can, and then have the courage to make the leap and make a difference. The experience of fear is a subconscious choice, a reality with which a lot of us have forgotten. Fear emerges when you do not take responsibility for the thoughts and ideas you allow yourself to entertain, and thus you're denying the God source within you. Fearlessness is self-created through remembering that you have this free will, conscious choice, and its inherent responsibility. And you can apply this gift of free will choice to change what you don't like in your life, to heal those distorted patterns. So the energies can come in and create the light and help you create the emergence of the true you, of the greater self. And thus, you will honor and embrace rather than deny and disempower the living God source within you. Ma'a says, beings choosing fearlessness use the personal power of their conscious mind to choose ideas, assessments, and labels that honor the infinity of the God source within them, and within all things, through which the isness and inherent living perfection of all creation can be fearlessness revealed, embraced, allowed, engaged, and unconditionally loved. Who is responsible for creating your fear? Who is powerful enough to heal it? You are. In co-creation with and expressing as your living God source within. So angelic humans, fly. If we become aware of the true framework within which our evolution as eternal beings takes place, and begin to take the initiative in reaching for that higher identity integration, we begin to consciously work with our eternal selves. In the end, as the beginning, all things exist within the one, as expressions of the one, and all things return unto the one. The only difference being the quality of the experiential path by which one chooses to come home. Our world has been presented with new opportunities for safe passage through all of our challenges. What you choose to do with these opportunities is completely up to you. This is from Ma'a. The Iani and the other Christiac races will remain with us until our changes have been done. They will walk with those of the Christiac path, each step in our unfolding, so long as we desire their camaraderie. And we can call on the guardian lights. What we do is we do our stuff first. We do the work first. Then we can call upon them to co-create. You don't expect other parts of your consciousness to do the work for you down here. You need to bring that through and consciously work, because you can't, I just lost the thought where I was going. But anyway, you get into this expanded state. But essentially, it's co-creation. It's co-creation with all aspects of ourselves. And so we have to do our part, because that's what co-creation is about. Life at any juncture is nothing less than celebration. So let us continue onward, upward, Godward, fearless eternally. So what I'd like right now is we're going to end with a meditation and connecting with the God self. And Pammy has, I love her voice. She has all these frequencies in her voice, and she's going to lead you through it.
Can we dim the lights a little bit, Noel, or not? Okay. All right, so close your eyes. This is called activating the God seed of the Melchizedek cloister from tangible structure of the soul. Loosen any tight clothing so that you're comfortable. And with eyes closed, take several slow, deep breaths. Then consciously slow the rate of your breathing a bit more. Clear your mind of all thoughts unrelated to this exercise. With eyes closed, imagine and visualize a crimson red spark of light positioned at the base of the spine, deep within the bone of the tailbone. Breathe slowly and deeply for a few moments, holding the image of the crimson spark in the tailbone clearly in your mind. On each inhale, imagine that you are drawing energy along with air from the atmosphere around you, inhaling the energy air directly into the crimson spark in the tailbone. On each exhale, push the energy air gently through the crimson spark, expanding it outside the crimson spark to form a crimson band of energy around the crimson spark of light. After several breaths of charging the crimson spark with energy air, you will notice that the crimson band of energy surrounding the crimson spark has taken the shape of a bright crimson ring of light. Continue breathing slowly, and now visualize the image of a gold spark of light in the center of the crimson ring, where the crimson spark had been within the tailbone. Continue breathing slowly and inhale energy air into the gold spark of light at the center of the ring. On each exhale, gently push the energy air through the gold spark, expanding it outside of the crimson ring to form a gold ring of energy around the crimson ring. After several breaths of charging the gold spark with energy, you will notice that the gold band has taken on the shape of a bright gold ring, within which the crimson ring and the gold spark are stationed. Breathe slowly while holding in mind the image of the gold ring of light within the crimson ring of light, and the gold spark of light at its center, stationed in the tailbone. Imagine now a bright blue spark of light placed over the gold spark of light within the gold and crimson rings in the tailbone. Inhale energy air into the blue spark, and notice with the first inhale the blue spark begins to merge with the gold spark, turning the spark of light at the center of the rings into a bright emerald green spark. On the exhale, gently push the energy air through the green spark and observe as its energy is absorbed by the crimson ring. On the second inhale, continue to energize the green spark at the center with energy air. On the next exhale, gently push the energy air through the green spark and into the crimson ring. As the second breath of air energized by the green spark is absorbed by the crimson ring, observe as the crimson ring explodes into a bright, brilliant violet ring of pulsating energy within the gold ring in the tailbone. Continue to breathe slowly while holding in mind the image of the gold ring with a bright violet starburst at its center, positioned in the tailbone. Mentally move the gold ring with its violet starburst up from the tailbone to the base of the spine, as if you were going to place this ring of energy around the spinal column. Breathe slowly. On each inhale, move the gold ring upward along the spinal column. On each exhale, stop the upward movement of the gold ring and gently push the violet energy from its center outward into the body, cells in the area in which the gold ring on the spinal column was stopped. Observe that the spinal column below the gold ring over which the gold ring has passed now glows with a deep violet light. Continue breathing the gold ring up the spinal column on each inhale and stopping the movement to push out violet energy with each exhale until you have moved the gold ring all the way up the spinal column to the base of the head. So give you a few moments to breathe that energy out. Stop the movement of the gold ring at the base of the head and continue breathing. Breathe out violet energy into the base of the head with each exhale breath. With practice of this exercise, you will notice a sensation of gentle rippling, energy emanating through the body cells as the violet energy waves move through them. This process of imbuing the spinal rings with the breath in the appropriate light spectra sequence is called activating the Ki Rache spirals. The Ki Rache spirals are sometimes referred to as the Kundalini energy, or the sleeping serpent at the base of the spine. Activating the Ki Rache spirals begins the process of releasing the morphogenetic crystal seals within the body, which keep the physical body, matter, and consciousness phase-locked into three-dimensional space-time. With the gold ring stationed at the base of the head, use one slow, steady inhale breath to draw the gold ring from the base of the head in the rear up into the pineal gland at the center of the brain. Place the gold ring at the center of the pineal on a horizontal plane and draw several breaths, gently pushing violet energy from the gold ring into the pineal gland. After several breaths, you will notice that a white spark of energy bursts out from the pineal in response to the infusion of violet energy. This represents the first of 3 pineal crystal seals opening to allow the energies of the gold seed to enter into the body. As the first pineal seal releases with a burst of white light, you will notice a rush of crimson energy filling the pineal and the area of the brain center. Continue to breathe slowly. Now, using the inhale breath to move the gold ring upward, draw the gold ring from the pineal gland at the brain center up through the 7th crown chakra at the top of the head, then further upward into the 11th chakra 18 inches above the head. Imagine the placement of the 11th chakra above the head as a ring of energy colored silver black. Draw the gold ring into the silver black 11th chakra, then stop the movement of the gold ring in the 11th chakra, and exhale the violet energy from the gold ring into the 11th chakra. Take a few slow, deep breaths, drawing energy air into the 11th chakra with each inhale, and pushing violet light from the gold ring into the 11th chakra with each exhale. After a few breaths, you will notice a white spark of light bursts out of the 11th chakra and travels downward to the 7th crown chakra and into the pineal gland. As the white spark from chakra 11 enters the pineal, releasing the 2nd pineal seal, the pineal gland and brain center begin to glow with a soft gold light. Visualize soft gold light spreading throughout the brain from the pineal gland. Then imagine the gold light spreading into the eyes, then downward into the throat, then cascading gently throughout the body. Breathe slowly for a few moments, feeling a warm sensation in the body as the gold light spreads throughout the cells. Call to mind the gold ring stationed in the 11th chakra, 18 inches above the head. You will now move the gold ring to the 14th chakra, 36 inches above the head, to release the 3rd pineal seal. Inhale and draw the gold ring vertically up from the 11th chakra and into the 14th chakra. Imagine the 14th chakra as a transparent disc of energy, 36 inches above the head. Center the gold ring within the transparent disc of the 14th chakra and stop moving the gold ring. Exhale violet energy from the gold ring into the 14th chakra, taking several breaths and pushing the violet energy into the 14th chakra. After a few breaths, a white spark of light will burst from the 14th chakra and travel downward from the 14th chakra into the 11th chakra, through the 10th chakra 6 inches above the head, and into the 7th crown chakra at the top of the head, then into the pineal gland. As the white spark enters the pineal gland at the center of the brain, releasing the 3rd pineal seal, an electric blue energy fills the pineal and begins spreading throughout the brain and body. Breathe for a moment and feel a rippling sensation of energy running through the body as the blue energy moves through the body cells. Now call to mind the image of the gold ring stationed within the transparent disc of the 14th chakra. Place the focus of your attention within the gold ring and begin to breathe in a relaxed manner. Imagine an image of the galaxies with millions of stars against a dark background. Notice that one star within the galactic image stands out, as it has a bright crimson band of energy surrounding it. It is the star Mintaka, within Orion's belt in the Orion star system. Mintaka is the morphogenetic field coordinate for the point of entry into the time matrix. Mintaka can also be used to exit the time matrix for return to the eternal families of consciousness within the God seed, out of which our being originally emerged. Visualize your consciousness stationed within the gold ring at the 14th chakra. Then gently move the gold ring in a spiraling motion upward toward the image of the star, Mintaka. Breathe easily as you imagine your consciousness within the gold ring, merging with the crimson band of light surrounding Mintaka. As you and the gold ring merge with the crimson Mintaka band of light, imagine the sensation of your awareness and the gold ring being condensed into a minute point of pale gold light. As a point of pale gold light, you will now travel through the portals of Mintaka and out of the time matrix into vast fields of bright white light. The white light beyond Mintaka is so bright that you cannot make out any images. Only the light floods your consciousness, but it is a pleasing experience. Feel yourself drifting further upwards within the fields of white light, until you encounter a large disk of pale blue energy before you. The disk of pale blue light represents the monadic membrane, the last boundary between you and your God seed identity. As a pale gold point of light, move your consciousness through the monadic membrane and into the God seed. Feel your consciousness expanding into a starburst of pale gold light. Observe that within the God seed, everything is a brilliant pale gold light, and feel the consciousness of the light as you reunite for the first time in this lifetime with your eternal family of light. You have come home to the God seed. Rest for a moment within the vast frontiers of pale gold light within the God seed. Feel the vibrations of pure, unconditional love that always await you there. Sense the presence of your family of consciousness around you, sending you endless waves of love and wisdom, your heritage and inheritance from your eternal family of light. Observe now as several sparks of pale gold light approach you from all directions, forming a circle of sparks around your pale gold spark of light. Sense the identity of these light beings and know that they are members of your ancient family that know you personally and have come to lend their support and assistance to you in your journey of evolution home to Source. Feel the joy and playfulness within their being and begin to remember that you also have such a feeling of lightness and joy within the innocence of your God seed being. Telepathically communicate anything you would like to say to these members of your family. Ask them to help you feel connected to them in your earthly life so that you can feel confident and supportive in your growth. Feel the return of their answers and unconditional love and support radiate towards you on beams of light that carry direct cognition. Know that these eternal beings of identity beyond the illusions of time will be there to guide you, protect you, support you as you move forward in time. Allow the joyful emotions of this family reunion to move through you as a final release of fear and confusion, as you emerge from the darkness of forgetting into the light of knowing your eternal divine essence. Know that one day, when you have achieved full dimensional ascension and ascended mastery, you too will become one of these eternal beings of light within the God seed. One day, you will rejoin your ancient family to take your place among them, and all that you have forgotten on earth will become known. One day, you will remember that you have always been among your family in the God seed, a part of you. Your eternal essence never left them, and that you had only forgotten this when the veils of darkness shrouded your consciousness as you entered the dimensional realities of this time matrix. Telepathically thank your family of light for their love, encouragement, and support. Say goodbye to your family with joy, knowing that you will now take the memory of them back with you into your earthly life. If you desire,